It was a year of growth for the Wild Rose Party in Alberta. Its emergence took the province's political scene by storm early in 2012. Now, for Wild Rose candidate Shane Saskew, it was an equally whirlwind year as he defeated longtime MLA and senior cabinet minister Ray Daniluk in the provincial election. Now, Clayton Brown caught up with Saskew to talk about a year that's brought everything from excitement of an election win to dealing with an unimaginable tragedy.
For Wild Rose MLA Shane Saskew, 2012 will stand out as one of the most interesting years of his life. The young lawyer, with a very short history in politics, decided to take on one of the PC's most experienced MLAs in the provincial election.
I used to be with the Progressive Conservative Party. I was their vice president of policy for their entire party. And when I was there, I saw that they were no longer in touch with Albertans, and it was more of a top-down decision-making process. So I thought, you know, if I'm upset with the way that the policies are running and the way the province is being governed, that I should walk the talk and actually put my name forward for elected politics. So, you know, we were running against a 41-year dynasty, against a cabinet minister. I didn't necessarily expect to be successful, but we ended up having a very good campaign.
But campaigning against longtime MLA Ray Daniluk turned out to be just the beginning for Saskew. He was the eventual winner of the election in the St. Paul-Lac-La-Biche Two Hills riding and was immediately put to work.
I had three roles: critic for justice and solicitor general, deputy house leader, which means I had to learn all the parliamentary procedures, and then I did all the media when our leader wasn't available, and then all northern media. So it was just a massive learning curve, and you're sitting in the legislature, and when our house leader isn't around, I'm the house leader for the Wild Rose, and I'm up against someone like Dave Hancock, who's got decades of experience. So it was a huge learning curve, but I think we were definitely very successful in a very hot session in holding the government to account.
Despite being relatively new to the political scene, Saskew didn't waste any time fighting for his constituency.
This year, my focus has been primarily on seniors issues. So the number one issue in our area that I've heard from a lot of people is the food situation in our hospitals, as well as extended care. We had the opportunity to purchase a bunch of food. Of course, the food at the hospital was sent prepackaged in barrels of soup out to our hospitals. It tasted absolutely awful. Most seniors, when they saw the food, they threw out the vast majority of it, and their loved ones had to bring it in. So we really pressured the government, saying this isn't acceptable. We want local food cooked locally by local people.
The other major push from Saskew surrounded the ongoing issue with dialysis in Lac-La-Biche. A lack of dialysis units in the town forced many users to drive hours for treatment. A temporary but much more solid plan has been reached.
As a result of a lot of work by myself, local residents, local health officials, we now have 3 nurses that just passed their test for dialysis training in Lac-La-Biche. There was a bus that came to the community and then serviced a bunch of other communities. They finally grounded that bus in Lac-La-Biche. They took the wheels off. So it's a decent interim solution, but the next step, of course, is advocating that those dialysis units be actually placed in the hospital, and then they can use that bus for some other communities.
It was then in October when a school in Saskew's constituency faced a devastating tragedy that not only hit home in St. Paul, but across the country after one girl was killed and 2 others critically injured when a van plowed through the window of the Reset School in St. Paul.
This was obviously the most tragic and most difficult circumstance that I've dealt with as an MLA, but in my life, right off the bat, you're just kind of thrown into it. But what I can say is that local officials did a tremendous job, from first responders to teachers to community members to the hospital staff. And then what we saw subsequent to that tragedy was just an overpouring of support for the families in the community. I think that the community is very resilient, and they're going to grow stronger because of this.
Looking ahead, Saskew says one of the biggest items early in the new year will be the 2013 budget. In St. Paul, Clayton Brown, Newcap News.